Hey everyone, welcome to With the Messenger. My name is Whitney, and this will be a Jupiter Cazimi / new moon in Cancer forecast for all signs. I am recording this on June the 24th. On this day, we're having the Jupiter Cazimi at 3 degrees in the sign of Cancer, where it is exalted. If you missed my first reading on Jupiter entering the sign of Cancer, I will pin it in this video so you get a suggestion to see it. And then on June the 25th, we will be having the new moon in the sign of Cancer at 4 degrees, still conjunct Jupiter. Okay, so this is a very auspicious moon. New moons are a time of planting seeds, and you get to see the fruition of it within a month to 6 months, right? Moon cycles, I always emphasize that moon cycles take 6 months to play out. Of course, this energy is extremely activated for you if you have any planets or placements between 1 degree or 0 degree to 8 degrees of the sign of Cancer. Okay, so for example, take me, my Mercury degree falls within that, so I may see themes along communication, information, contracts, media that unfold within the months following this new moon / Jupiter Cazimi. Okay, the Jupiter Cazimi is resetting your Cancer house with benefits from the planet Jupiter. Jupiter is an expansive planet. It is an optimistic planet. It is a benefic. It is the greater benefic planet. Okay, so on the same day of the new moon, we also have, outside of the conjunction to Jupiter, let that pass. Hello, when will that be done? We also have a square to Saturn, in the sign of Aries, and a sextile to Mars in the sign of Virgo. Okay, so I will be touching base on the energy that is baking in with this new moon for you. But just know that, like I said, the Jupiter Cazimi is resetting something for you in your Cancer whole sign house. This is whole sign tropical astrology. We will be doing a general forecast. If it's your sun sign, it's for your purpose, your career, could be related to your father figures, masculine energies in your life. The moon sign, your mother, your emotions. I see it as well as the body, and your home life, your private life, right? And your rising sign, just anything in relation to you and what is changing in your life for that specific house that is being activated, your Cancer house. So I think that covers about everything. Just a little bit of admin. I do offer personal readings. Most of them involve some astrology in it, but it's mainly tarot based, oracle based readings. And you know, the description box does have my booking info, so if you're interested in that, you could try it out. And if you don't know much about astrology but you would like to start, I do have a tutorial on how to cast your birth chart, as well as just some basics about astrology to kind of get you going and to put you on your path of self-study. Okay, all right, so we're gonna start with Aries. Aries, the Cazimi and Jupiter Cazimi and the new moon is happening in your 4th house. So that's the sun, the moon, and Jupiter all aligning there in your 4th house. You at this time, you know, Cancer energy, the moon is comfortable in the sign of Cancer because it rules the sign of Cancer. Jupiter is exalted there, right? So at this time, you could be having a heavy focus on the comfort, the peace that you want in your life, that you want with family, whether it's the family you come from or the family that came from you. Okay, there is a square to Saturn in your 1st house, so I do feel that is asking for a level of maturity for you. Squares are the nature of Mars. They're a bit chaotic. They could be challenging. They could push for some tough decision making. They do put because Saturn is present as well. Saturn put limitations and restrictions on things, right? So it could be that yes, you want all these changes to happen with family or with your home or where you live or with your children, but there's something about you, since Saturn is in your first house. The first house also represents our mindset. There's something about you, or my mindset, I mean your outlook on life, right? There's something about you that has to change, that has to mature. Saturn is the planet of maturity. Saturn says you get this thing when I see that you're ready for it. Okay, now there's also a sextile from Mars in your 6th house, and I'll say for that there could be, because the 6th house is the house of service, right? Mars is an energy of taking action, right? It's not really dormant energy. So I will feel like there are some steps that you will have to take, Aries, in order to get this done, right? Let's say, for example, this doesn't have to do with family. Maybe this has to do with your physical body, right? This may be where you need to get into a better diet and exercise type regimen to be healthy, to be honest, because the first house also has to do with, you know, your body as well. I wish I had that paper near me. I don't. Yeah, I don't have it near me, but this could be where from your home, within your home, you see yourself more so cooking more often, or starting to work out at home. When I said the first house is your body, it more so has to do with like your appearance, right? So I feel for you all, you're going to, it's Saturday, you're going to have to put more energy, and that Mars in your 6th house, Mars being the ruler of your first house, is giving you the drive, the energy, the passion, the willingness to do this. And you might be able to do it just from the comfort of your home, right? But I just feel like it's more so the part of the discipline. With the 6th house present, with Mars in the 6th house present from a sextile as well to your 4th house, some of you could have the right rental opportunity come up, because the 6th house also have to do with renting. The right pets, the 6th house also have to do with pets, or the right employee or employer. Okay, and some of you, maybe you're getting an opportunity to work from home or to have a business from out of your home, because Jupiter in your 4th house saying the expansion, the blessedness happening in your home. Let's move on to Taurus. Taurus, this is happening in your 3rd house with the conjunction to Jupiter and the Sun. Everything, Jupiter, Sun, the Moon is all in your 3rd house. So there's a focus there on your 3rd house. The expansion, the blessing of Jupiter is here in your 3rd house. But you also have at this time Venus transiting your 1st house while this lunation takes place, right? So there is an I don't want to say expansive again. There is an auspicious energy surrounding you right now, and the potential via your 3rd house as well for this auspicious energy to take root through. It could be someone else in your life bringing forth an opportunity, and that someone would be someone represented by your 3rd house. So a neighbor, someone in your community, someone you commute with, a sibling, could be younger than you, could be an aunt, an uncle, a niece, a nephew, a cousin, okay, or even a friend. I do see the 3rd house as our friends. All right, now there is a square to Saturn in your 12th house. 3rd house I also see as our perspective, you know, or logical thinking, at least, right? That's Gemini, that's the ruling the mind, right? And the way we communicate and express ourselves. You do also have the sextile to Virgo, Mars in Virgo in your 5th house, which is also a expression house. Okay, so I feel like for you all at this time, the way you express yourself, what you want to say, it's changing. You're becoming more vocal, Taurus, and it's just because of the square between your 3rd house and your 12th house. You're gonna have to break through from that mental blockage that you have, that subconscious or that unconscious blockage that you have in your mind that really didn't allow you to take up space and to speak up. So I feel like at this time you're going to be communicating more with people from your community or people around you. This is a good time for some of you all, if you want, with this 3rd house, Jupiter in your 3rd house, new moon in your 3rd house, to manifest or plant the seed to get a new vehicle or a new mode of communicating. I would say, because there is the sextile to Mars in your 5th house, this would also be a good time for you to go out into your local community, the grocery store, the gym, there's a bar, 3rd house, 5th house energy. Those are dating energy, romance energy for me. So it could be a potential for you to meet someone. So try not to stay inside, especially with Venus in your 1st house right now. Every time you go out, dress up, you know. I'm not saying to be shallow or anything like that. I'm just saying, like, with the sextile, there's a opportunity for you to meet someone. So make sure that you look your best. First impression, right? Let me see if I'm missing anything with the 3rd house. You know, if your parents are off the age, maybe you could conceive, not you conceive, sorry. You could, your parents, they could conceive another child and you could get another sibling. That's what I was trying to say. If your floating IC is in your 3rd house, then, or even your 5th house, then this could be a marker, Taurus, for you to relocate as well. All right. Moving along to Gemini. All right, Gemini. So this is happening in an 8th house for you. We're talking money, money, money. Okay, and which is good because you have had Saturn for some time in your 10th house. It's gonna come back a little bit soon, but for right now, especially with the planting of the seed of this new moon, it's not in your 10th house, Saturn there. So you don't feel that restriction in your career or when it comes to your public image with this lunation, right? And the 2nd house has to do with the money that we make from the work that we do. So that's why I say, like, it's good now that Saturn is not in your 10th house, because this could be a time where the money that you make from your career could expand. There's no restrictions there. Your income could increase, okay? One thing I would say, though, with the square to Saturn in your 11th house, I do feel like there is this to whom much is given, much is expected type energy, because the 11th house represents our long-term gains and goals from our career. If you're an entrepreneur, you know, that would be the goals that you have for your business there, and the means of marketing. Well, 3rd house is really the marketing, but you know, you could use social media from the 11th house to get in touch with the people that are your quote-unquote soul tribe, right? So there could be more than that you have to do or that is required of you. You know, that square, it's a bit of discomfort. It's not easy, okay? This could be something as simple as maybe when Saturn was transiting your 10th house, you know, you demonstrated the leadership potential. So boom, you get a raise. Here you go. You have more income coming in because you got a promotion. But now with you as Saturn in the 11th house, well, the people that you network with, your co-workers, or people who are a part of the same business, that's a word, they're in the same business as you, they now all see you as, oh, you're more, you've raised to a higher bar, and so maybe they could potentially treat you just a little bit different. Okay, so I want you to think about that. Even friends, you know, with Saturn day in the 11th house, like, it might not be an easy time with them, right? If you have stepchildren, this might not be an easy time with them either, because the 11th house does also represent that, right? And then moving on to where Mars is. Mars sits in your fourth house. So there could be changes happening in your fourth house at this time. So there's a sextile between your second and your fourth house. And with this lunation, Mars could have to do with renovating, relocating, right? I don't want to say expanding, because Mars kind of cuts things away, but the cut away could be just I make a decision from A to B, right? Some of you could be working much more at home. Some of you could just be traveling away from home for a little bit, okay? That's the cut away from home, right? But you do go back. But some of you, this could be you working from inside your home, okay? So let's say you're an entrepreneur with Saturn in your 11th house and you're really having to grind. But the blessing is the more assets, the more money comes in your second house. Let's take me, for example. I'm a Gemini sun and moon. So from my moon sign perspective, that has to do with the home, you know. I had, since Mars moved into the sign of Virgo, I had 2 trips already away from home, right? And then I've been having a lot of bookings. Grateful, very, very grateful for the people who've been booking with me. So I've been grinding more from inside the house, okay? Because it's doing stuff like this, right? Recording messages for people. So that could be another way. It's just a little bit of discomfort, but there is positive changes for you all, Gemini, Sun, Moon, and Rising. We're going to move on to the main star of this event, which is Cancer. Cancer, this is happening in your first house. For the next year, you have Jupiter's blessing on your career. If it's your sun, on your moon, your home life, your emotions, your body, your mother, your son, your father, and your rising sign. Just everything in your life is under Jupiter's bounty, okay? Now, Cancer, Jupiter transiting your sign can make you put on a bit of a weight, okay? I put on 20 pounds. I put on 20 pounds towards the end of Jupiter's transit in Gemini. I think I was doing so good, and then boom, went to the hospital and okay, Miss Garbutt, you're slightly overweight. But I'm gonna do what I need to do to temper that, right? So I just want you all to be conscious of that, Cancer, especially since you're a sign that has a lot to do with like home cooked meals and stuff like that, or just, you know, really loving to enjoy, really wanting to enjoy what you eat, like Taurus, right? You are the best chefs when it comes to the astrological sign. So if you're cooking home for yourself, just make sure it's health conscious meals, okay, and temper your takeout. So you could also get pregnant, you could get married, you could change your job, you could be promoted. I say promoted because for some of you all, especially the risings and the sun, there is a square to Saturn in your 10th house, okay? And you can check with Gemini risings how that was for them when Saturn has been transiting their 10th house when it was in sign of Pisces. You could definitely feel like there were more demands. You could definitely feel like there are more demands that are placed upon you, okay? And because of that, it's like, okay, the more demands that are placed upon you, there's more expansion definitely that will come about in you, right? In your place in the world, how you see the world, because you're going to feel like you're more involved now in things. But at the same time, you're going to feel like, well, maybe I don't have much time to do what it is that I really want, because I'm doing more of what is expected of me with Saturn there in the 10th house. Now, there's a sextile between the moon, Jupiter, the sun, and Mars in your 3rd house. So, sextiles are the nature of Venus. And it's just opportunities being presented to you, really, that allows for you to expand in some way. Right? So let's put out different situations. Let's say you want to be a writer, or you know, you market stuff, okay? Right now with Mars in the 3rd house, if you put the energy and time into writing, showcasing your work, uploading your work, pursuing some form of skill, you know, you will see the rewards of it, I feel, from the accolades that you or the positions that you receive with in the 10th house. But right now you're gonna have to take account of what is available to you from the 3rd house. So is there a course available to you from the 3rd house that you could embark upon that later, you know, you could see the rewards of? This is what Mars in the 3rd house is asking you to do, to put the time and energy into that. Okay, moving along. Leo. Okay, Leo, so this is happening in your 12th house, a very subtle house for you. I feel like for Leo and Aquarius, this isn't a really major energy, but we'll still go over it, right? Looking at the houses that are being activated for you, has houses 12, 9, and 2. 12th house is Jupiter, Sun, and the Moon. 9th house is Saturn, and 2nd house is Mars. Mars in your 2nd house, I don't know. You may have an opportunity to sell something. Some of you may just get an opportunity to kind of move abroad. Or if it's not abroad, to a whole new country, wherever you're moving is a far away distance in the same country from where you are in the present. Okay, because the 12th house and the 9th house, there's a square between these two. And so with Jupiter in your 12th house and the Moon, I feel like, okay, there's expansive energy from something that's foreign to you or something that is far away. But Saturn in 9th house saying, well, there's a bit of the restriction here. Either you need to go back to school for this thing, or you need to go far away. Maybe if this is even study for some of you all. So with Mars in your 2nd house, maybe you spend some of your money more in investing in either moving, relocating, or going back to school. So it's like you won't see the effects of this transit immediately in terms of like the gains now, because you're gonna have to do more work. Now, if this is more on a subconscious level, since the 12th house has to do with things that are hidden, it has to do with our karmic debt. I do feel like for some of you all, this could be where a switch in your belief system at a deep subconscious level could occur because of karmic debts being replayed, because of lessons being learned, because of atonement being made. Okay, and I feel that is happening too because of Saturn in your 9th house. The 9th house also has to do with the expansion of our consciousness. Okay, and so it's like Saturn there is going to, in the next 2 years, really gonna force you to take accountability for your actions. Okay, now some of you, as a result of that, with Mars in your 2nd house, maybe you may choose to give up certain things that you own, or the way that you make money, because maybe consciously you can't allow yourself to continue to be a part of it like this. I hope that makes sense. Okay, but I feel like you're gonna more have to sacrifice stuff in order to move forward, right? It's gonna be a period of sacrifice, I feel, for you. Well, I know that might not be what you want to hear, but you know, Jupiter is very comfortable too in the 12th house, because that's naturally Pisces house, and Jupiter is the ruler of Pisces, and that is a house of hidden support. So just know that you have support through this change that you want to make. I feel like a lot of people fear change because they might feel like that's the moment where the people that they may have wronged may choose to walk all over them. Okay, so you may want to just sit with that. Okay, if you do anything with the occult, or you want to change your religion, something to that degree, this energy is favorable for that. Moving on to Virgos, I am so sorry that I forgot y'all for that Jupiter for that Jupiter in Jupiter ingress into Cancer reading. So I'm making sure I get you all now. So Jupiter's energy is in your 11th house, you know, and that's a very beneficial house because it's a house of our hopes, our wishes, our long-term gains from our careers. It's like a wish upon a star type energy, right? And then you have the greater benefic Jupiter there. So this could be a time where, you know, you could put some manifestations out there and it comes in back to you. And this energy also sextiles you, your sun, your moon, or your rising Virgo. Right now you have Mars in your first house creating a sextile to this. So I feel if you really apply yourself, if you put yourself out there, and by out there it could be in social media, out there it could be you attending networking events, okay? Great opportunities could come to you to allow you to align or have those hopes and wishes, and those things that you aspire for in your career or in your business. Now, it's notwithstanding there is a square, an uncomfortable square, so the greater malefic Saturn in your 8th house. So what does that mean? It means for you all that there's a lot of transformation that will be taking place behind the scenes, and that makes sense because the South Node is also in your first house, not only Mars, okay? And the South Node does have a lot to do with our identity from the past, or mindset or beliefs or actions from the past, okay? And so with the South Node there is a consciousness that is coming up to the surface as a way, as well as a burning away or a cutting away with Mars present. So there are things about yourself, Virgo, that you are changing, and the transformation is definitely going to happen with Saturn in your 8th house. What could that mean in real time for you? That could mean you going to therapy, you enlisting some type of shadow work, right? Even if you don't go to oh my goodness, these horns outside. Yeah, you going to therapy, or you really investing in shadow work, or you going cold turkey, going to rehab if you had any type of substance abuse problem, right? This could mean some intense dreams too, type that you wake up in cold sweats crying about with Saturn transiting your 8th house there, because Saturn is saying you are going to focus and heal these things. Now the 8th house also has to do with the resources that we could share with others, or responsibilities, okay? So I do feel here there's going to be more that is put upon your plate with Saturn, more responsibilities, and there could be a limit to how much you can get help from others, as well as how much, by help I mean like responsibility wise, but also financial wise, okay? This could be a time where it's kind of hard to acquire that, or if you do take on the help from others, there's going to be a lot that is expected back from you. So a simple example would be if you go and get a loan, you're going to have to pay that back, right? So just kind of keep that in mind. But paying it back, it means that like how much it's gonna cost you to pay it back, that puts some limitations on your money. Or maybe someone, a spouse of yours, their assets right now is kind of tied up, so you're not able to get help from them, or for mom and dad, or someone, okay, someone. And then we're gonna move on to Libras. All right, Libra. So this energy is happening in your 10th house. It's an angular house, so this is major changes for you. And there's the square to Saturn in your 7th house, again another angular house, so major changes for you, as well as the sextile to Mars in the 12th house. So the changes that are happening from the energy of Mars, they're more subtle, but not because it's subtle means that it doesn't have a big impact in the external. It's more internal, but it does have an impact in the external. And I feel for you all with the, Jupiter isn't really comfortable in the 10th house, because that's the Capricorn house, and Jupiter falls in the sign of Capricorn. The moon isn't comfortable there either, because it's Capricorn's house, and the moon is, and Cancer is the opposite sign, which is the moon is a ruler of your 4th house. So there's a lot of things that are supposed to be more public, that are more supposed to be more private, more inwards, that will become public for you all. And so you might not like that, but the expansion, the blessing is happening on a public forum for you all, or just publicly for you all, more external than internal for you all. This could be in regards to a relationship, because we do have Saturn in 7th house. So maybe your relation takes on a higher level of commitment. Saturn there in the 7th house, asking for you to step up, mature. Or it could be a destruction of a marriage or a relationship, but it being public, people knowing about it, okay? Or a business, joining a business or leaving a business, because 7th house does rule contracts, right? Mars in the 12th house says, okay, there are decisions and actions being taken in secret, hidden, right? It doesn't even have to be like hidden from you or secretive from you. It's more happening in the private life, but the effects of it are going to be seen in the public, okay? Now, as a result of this, though, you will be a bit bountiful. I shouldn't say the word bit, but what I mean is the result of what happens in behind closed doors or in your subconscious mind is the effects of it, the result of it is going to be public, and it's going to be bountiful for you. So whether it's you becoming Mr. or Mrs., whether you are divorcing and then you're actually gaining some stuff from it, from that divorce or that breakup, you know, I do see blessings and favor for you, okay? The sextile between Jupiter, the moon, and Mars from the 10th to the 12th. Give me a second. Some contracts or paperwork may have to be signed, okay? Just keep that in mind. And I do feel like there's a lot that is changing consciously for you. A lot of things that were hidden in your subconscious, there's a lot that is changing consciously for you as a result. Yeah. Moving on to Scorpios. Scorpio. This is happening in your 9th house. Whoop, whoop. This is a Dharma house. And there's a square to Saturn in your 6th and a sextile to Mars in your 11th. Mars is your ruler, so you're always going to be conscious of what Mars is doing. Okay? So for you from your 11th house, I feel some of you could be going back to school. Some of you could be traveling. Some of you could be investing into some form of learning, higher learning, or some type of legal matter between this 9th and 11th house. And this is a favorable time to do so, because whatever you're hoping or wishing for with this moon, with the seeds being planted on this moon and Mars being there in your 11th house, it's more than likely going to happen. Okay, now because the 9th house is a house that is connected to God, the higher source, it's a very positive karmic house. There is a realignment that is happening for you within the next 6 months. There is you getting more on purpose, okay? And I feel also aligning with people that are part of your purpose. So you could be meeting mentors at this time, okay? Maybe you go to an event, or you see an event with that sextile to Mars in your 11th house. You see an event and you're like, oh, maybe I should go to this, or a seminar or something. Go, because I feel like you could meet someone there that is very beneficial for your journey ahead. The square to Saturn in your 6th house, like I said, for some of you, if it's, let's take for instance, if you're going back to school, it doesn't have to be a traditional school either, just going back to some form of learning, then Saturn in your 6th house saying, well, this means your daily routine is changing, because now you're gonna have to be disciplined enough to put time aside to study, to learn. Okay, I'm trying to see what else. Some of you, this opportunity may be somewhere you know what, I'm gonna be honest, outside of this, the square to Saturn, right? Okay, let me talk about the square to Saturn first, because we also have the 9th house there. So the 6th house does have to do with our health, right? And with the 9th house, this could be a form of, because I do see Sagittarius energy, which is 9th house energy, as healing energies too, but there's more that's gonna have to be poured into it. So let's take for instance, you're someone maybe who really enjoyed eating a certain thing, but it's not healthy for you, but this is something that you ate since you were a child, and so it's kind of like a reprogramming of the brain, of the consciousness, to allow yourself to understand why this thing isn't healthy for you, or why this new thing is healthy for you, and to kind of like reframe your mind around that. I always see people in ninth house placements as people who they could really change their life through affirmations, powerful, positive affirmations, okay, or just simply redoing something over and over again. But if not that, and this has to do, let's say, with work, some of you, to get an opportunity for work, to get a higher role, you may have to go back to school, and this may require you to make sacrifices in your daily life, you know, forego short-term gratification for long-term gain. That's kind of what I'm seeing with the 6-9-11 alignment. That's more intuitive, that I'm feeling that, because I just feel with Saturn in your 6th house there's a bit of sacrifice that is being asked of you in order to reap the gains of the 9th house. Yeah, let me see if I missed anything. The 6th house does also have to do with loans, so maybe for some of you all, it may require you to take out a loan to accomplish this desire, this goal, the 11th house, right? And for some of you all, I didn't say this for Taurus. I should have said that for Taurus. They had something involved with children, but nonetheless, 11th house is stepchildren. So some of you all, this may be a time where you meet someone who has children. 9th house, it could be that you all have different, because 9th house could represent your third long-term relationship or your third marriage. So this could be an opportunity to spend time to get to know these people. And with the Saturn in 6th house, it could be just you having to maybe put more time and energy into getting to know others, or be of service to them, if that makes sense. It could be 9th house does represent the father. Maybe there's some of you may have with Saturn in Aries may have to take care of a father figure. Okay, that's not for everybody though. Let's move on to Sagittarius. Sagittarius is happening in your 8th house, the Jupiter, Cazimi, and the new moon in the sign of Cancer. The 8th house is a house that we share with others. It's a shared experience, shared responsibility, shared resources. It's also a house of deep transformation. And, you know, it has a lot to do with the occult and the esoteric world. So if you're someone who's into those things, Jupiter and the moon's presence there could really expand your intuition and your psychic abilities at this time. And even your business, if you have that type of business, because we do have the square to Saturn in your 5th house. The 5th house has to do with our like entrepreneurial type business or creativity, right? So if you want it, if you want to be taken seriously as this, if you want to learn more, Saturn there in your 5th house is saying it might not feel fun to learn at this time, or what you're doing may not be exactly the way that you want to do things. Like maybe you're not able to take a real carefree approach, but you have to study to learn more, you know, or you may want to do something, but you don't have the time to do it, because with Saturn there in your 5th house, Saturn puts a damper on things, you know. 5th house is the house of creativity and confidence and having fun, and Saturn there as a Scorpio rising, I had Saturn there, and you don't have much of that. Okay, you do what is needed, not what you want to do, unfortunately. And you know, part of the reason why may be because the shared resources that you have with another may, with Jupiter presence there in the 8th house, it may be going through some type of change. You know, 8th house is the house of change, so it could be going through some type of change. I do see a sextile to Mars in your 10th house here. Oh, and don't take that wrong, like the change that is undergoing, because the Jupiter's presence there with the new moon, seeds are being planted for you to tap into somebody else's resources down the line. Okay, within 6 months you're gonna tap into somebody else's resources. Mars is present in your 10th house, and they're making a sextile to Jupiter and the new moon. So again, this could be you gaining some money from someone else, a sign-on bonus. 10th house. You get married. Maybe that's what Saturn 5th house is. You go from dating someone to now from a romantic relationship to more a committed relationship, right? Jupiter was just in your 7th house, so maybe some of you got married. And there's just more that is expected of you than as a couple, right? For those who that applies. But this could be where you got into a business partnership of some house, because the 7th house represents all types of partnerships, not only relationship. Okay, by romantic relationship I mean. Mars is comfortable there in the 10th house, so that is playing in your favor there. So some of you, like I said, it could be you getting opportunities to work with someone and being privy to their resources that they have. Okay, you could also put yourself out there more if you do anything in the occult or esoteric world, but I feel like to continue, you might gain quick traction, but to continue on that momentum, you're going to have to be disciplined enough to constantly be putting out content, if that makes sense. Moving on to Capricorn. Capricorn, so this is happening in your 7th house with a square to Saturn in your 4th house. You know, these are dharmic houses for you. And then, angular houses. And then there is a sextile to Mars in your 9th house, which is a dharmic house. So angular and dharmic, very fated, blessed changes involved here. Some of you, changes are happening in your relationship. You're either meeting someone who things are going to get serious pretty quickly, like you're moving together, or you know, you and your partner conceive, and so things are getting serious. Then at home, you know, you're going to become parents. Or this, because Mars is present there in the 9th house, and Mars has to do with things cutting and ending. The 9th house does have to do with like courts and legalities. For some of you all, this could be the ending of a marriage or a long-term commitment. Okay, so it's either you're gaining in one or you're coming out of one. If you're in one and it's going really good, you take it to a higher level, whether that's marriage, children, and the like. Now, when it comes to business partnerships, it could be where some of you may have to travel away from home for a business venture or for some type of deal. Or for some of you, or even for a relationship, you know, you move away for your person. Okay, moving on. Wait, before I stop there, let me see. Because the 4th house is involved, the moon is involved, your mother could definitely be involved here in some degree, Capricorn. Or your family. 4th house is the family. Okay, so maybe there are more responsibilities that are placed upon you as it relates to the family. Or grandchildren. 9th house also involved. Okay, take that wherever that applies. Now we move on to Aquarius. Aquarius, this is happening in your 6th house with a square to Saturn in your 3rd house and Virgo in your 8th house. I'm going to tell you the same thing I tell you. I don't feel like this is big out the gate change type energy for you all, because it's happening in mutable sign houses, which you have very little over control over, and it's very fluctuating. But let's still talk about it, right? Jupiter in your 6th house, be careful of your health, be careful of existing diseases. You know, if you don't take the time to invest and change and heal, then with Jupiter's present, Jupiter blesses everything. Not blesses, sorry, it expands everything that it touches. So if there's an existing ailment, it could expand on that if you don't take the time to properly heal it. Okay, there's a square to Saturn in your 3rd house. Some of you may want to take up walking. walking around the community, okay, to help with your health during this transit of your 6th house, okay. Mars was doing its thing in your 6th house for some time, so I'm not gonna be surprised if health ailments showed up for some of you all in the past few months since last year, September, October, really, up to January, February of this year. And then we have Mars there in your 8th house. So again, there may have been some things that you give me a second, because what I am feeling here with Saturn in your 3rd house, on the health part at least, because the 8th house could also have to do with like surgeries. So that's what I'm feeling for some of you all Aquarius, that if you don't really take the time, then some of you may end up with something that you really have to put time and energy into. Mars is the sword. Mars cuts things. It's in your 8th house, right? So I just kind of want you to be conscious of that. I'm gonna try to stay on that too long, but that is showing up. Outside of that, the 3rd house does have to do with our community, our sisters and brothers, you know, our cousins and nieces, nephews, aunts. Maybe some of you will be more of service to these people. They're going to show up in your life more, okay? Or you're going to have to show up in their life some more, okay? Because we do have, again, Mars in the 8th house. Mars is shared responsibility. So maybe some of you may have to take up some responsibility for some of these people, okay, Aquarius? Anything else from there? Maybe change the way you commute. Maybe biking every so often could help with health ailments, or maybe there are issues that do come up with transportation, that do come up with short distance travel because of your health or because of how you have to help others, okay? Last sign, Pisces. All right, Pisces, so this is happening in your 5th house, the Dharma house, and there is a square to Saturn in your 2nd house and Mars in Virgo in your 7th house, okay? So I feel like things in your romantic relationships are changing between that sextile of Jupiter, the moon, and Mars. You could definitely be putting more time into ending a relationship or growing a relationship, okay? Or growing your business and entrepreneurial skills and partnerships, right? Getting brand deals at this time. I need to post that on Twitter, that Pisces right now should be focusing on brand deals for sure, because their gifts, their talents, the way they express themselves is going to be noticed. It's expanding, okay? Now there is a square to Saturn in your 2nd house, so it could be where you may be using too much of your funds to do 5th house matters. Whether that be to have fun, to express your creative gifts, you know, these things, we live in a 3D world, so these things cost money. So you may want to look, and that's why it may be important to look at brand deals at this time with that 7th house, Mars in that 7th house, okay? Because especially if you want to pursue this thing long term, you might have to make sure that you have all the right tools, the right equipment to do what you need to do, okay? Saturn in the 2nd house definitely brings restrictions of finances. You could ask Aquarius what that was like for them, okay? So you might not have the money that you want, that you need in order to do all these expansive things, but maybe a partner does, okay? Maybe there's opportunity for partnerships to get these things done. So use this new moon and this Jupiter Kazemi to manifest that, okay? To manifest that you can use other people's resources and money to experience that luxury, okay? Now I will say, if through the 5th house Jupiter and new moon there expands your entrepreneurship business with Saturn in the 2nd house, save where you can, okay? But all in all, I feel this is good energy for you all, being able to, especially since Saturn has moved away from your first house. So being that mature, feeling restricted all the time, it's starting to move on to other areas of your life, and you're gonna get to express joy and happiness again. Okay, if you have any questions, do drop them down in the comment section down below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and until next time, be blessed.